When the basketball court and the street gets too close, lines blur, and eventually rumors start to sound like facts. Some players openly talk about their gang ties, while others never address them. In this video, we'll talk about the NBA players whose ties keep returning to the headlines, and we'll lay out what's documented, what's disputed, and how the fallout has reshaped careers, reputations, and lives. Starting with Javaris Crittenton, who looked like a rising NBA star early on. He was the 19th overall pick in the 2000 NBA draft, signing a contract with the LA Lakers for $2.6 million in guaranteed money. But sadly, it wasn't long before his career went from promise to chaos. The first trouble came in December of 2009 in the Washington Wizards locker room, when Crittenton pointed a loaded gun at teammate Gilbert Arenas, causing teammates to cower and take cover. When asked about his arguments with Arenas, Crittenton responded saying, "He made his threats to my life. You keep talking about fighting, I play with guns." Prosecutor Gabe Banks said on record that he was involved with the Mansfield Gangster Crips based out of LA, and it wasn't uncommon for individuals involved in professional athletics to go out and join street gangs for protection. In addition to that, two confidential police informants confirmed that Crittenton was walked into the gang due to his celebrity status rather than being jumped in, an initiation in which new members have to fight their way into a gang. And a photo from the Atlanta Police Department shows he has a tattoo on his midsection of a hand holding a blue bandana, a symbol that prosecutors and gang experts identified as a Crip sign. If that wasn't enough, in 2010, prosecutors uncovered some shocking information linking Javaris to Javier Romero Angulo, another gang member.
Defendant Crittenton actually purchased an airline ticket for a Gulu with his American Express card to fly from California to Atlanta.
This purchase was made just 3 days after Angulo was involved in a fatal shooting with the wife of a rival gang member, Kevin Dwayne Green. As time went on, it became pretty clear that Crittenton didn't just join the Crips, but actually took part in the gang's activities. In 2011, he was wanted by the Atlanta PD on murder charges stemming from the August 19th fatal shooting of 22-year-old Julian Jones, who investigators confirmed was not the intended victim, as she was walking with a group that included Trontavia Stevens, the man Crittenton believed had robbed him at gunpoint of more than $55,000 in jewelry in April of that year. A grand jury indicted him on 12 counts. In addition to murder, felony murder, and participation in criminal street gang activity charges in connection with Jones's death, the 12-count grand jury indictment included charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, giving false statements, and attempted murder. Following a lengthy court case, Crittenton admitted in court to being a gang member in a tearful guilty plea, in which he apologized to the family of Jones and acknowledged that he joined a gang for protection. And as a result, he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. After serving 10 years behind bars, Crittenton was released in April of 2023, under strict probation and community obligations. With hard evidence and his own admission on record, Crittenton's gang ties rank among the best documented in the league and ultimately destroyed his career. While Javaris Crittenton got mixed up in gang culture after joining the NBA, Caron Butler got caught up in it long before his 14-year NBA career, prior to being drafted as a small forward for the Miami Heat in 2002, and becoming a two-time NBA All-Star, playing for teams like the Washington Wizards. Butler was lured into criminal activity in his hometown of Racine, Wisconsin. The gangster disciples who controlled the neighborhood park made a strong recruiting pitch demonstrating how dealing drugs yielded quick money, and Butler's uncles and a few cousins were already dealing, so he had no trouble getting started. From the time he was 11, he dealt drugs and was arrested more than a dozen times, before spending more than a year in prison on drug possession and firearm charges. And in his freshman year, at just 15, Butler was arrested after police found drugs and a gun in his school locker. Because of that, he was sent to a juvenile correctional facility, and within his first month at Ethan Allen, Butler got into an altercation with a rival gang member from back home. Punished with 15 days in solitary confinement, he was forced to spend 23 hours a day in a 10 by 12 yellow brick cell, with a steel bed in a 2-inch thick mattress. After that low point, he took a fast food job, cut ties with the old crowd, and focused on basketball, which set up his path out of the street life. Unlike Caron Butler, who was an active gang member, Zach Randolph's name comes up mostly because of his close circle. Affectionately known as Zebo, Randolph's childhood in Marion was tough, and he found any way he could to make ends meet. On a podcast, he admitted, "I was selling dope in my first year at high school because we were so poor." While Randolph wasn't taking the drugs, selling them, especially before the age of 18, is a very severe crime, and it could have derailed his entire future. But Randolph was able to turn things around, focusing on basketball and eventually being able to earn a spot with the Michigan State Spartans college team. He made a strong impression there, before the Portland Trail Blazers drafted him as their power forward in 2001. After signing a 6-year, $84 million contract extension with the Blazers in 2004, it became official. He had made it into the NBA, and that meant his friends had made it too. He relocated a few of them to Portland, where they showed up in the hallways after home games wearing extravagant necklaces featuring the acronym HOOP, helping others overcome problems. It wasn't long before police papers said some of those friends had gang ties linking them to guns, drugs, and even a murder case. In 2011, one associate, Kevin Charles Moffitt, went to trial for shooting a nightclub bouncer in Portland. And in a separate Indiana drug probe, a police informant tried to name Randolph as a major supplier, but prosecutors never charged him. However, a probable cause affidavit filed in Marion County Superior Court said he was a financer for known drug dealers and supplied individuals with marijuana, vehicles, and a suburban Indianapolis home where they could live. Unfortunately, Randolph's MTV Cribs episode didn't help his image either, as some viewers pointed out alleged GD clues around his house. The first clue in question was the star symbol in the middle of his pool table, that was identified as this Folk Nation GD symbol, with the 6-point Star of David and the pitchforks. The next clue fans pointed out was a wall poster of Larry Hoover, the founder of the Gangster Disciples. And finally, some eagle-eyed viewers also spotted 2 well-known active gang members among the friends at the house, one implicated in a shooting and the other in a high-profile drug case. These were just hints, not evidence, but a 2006 stop linked to his car led to a drag racing citation for the driver, and the presence of 2 guns poured gas on the narrative, and his legal issues didn't stop in Portland. In 2017, Los Angeles police arrested him on a possession of marijuana with intent to sell charge in Nickerson Gardens, a place known for gang activity, yet police watched him for years without landing gang charges, which suggests the evidence didn't go far enough. Much like Zach Randolph, Tony Allen's gang ties seem less about participating and more about who he hangs around. Long before he became the Grindfather, one of the NBA's best defenders with the Celtics and Grizzlies, he was a kid who got caught up in crime and gang culture early. Growing up at 95th and Princeton, he didn't see many options on the south side, so the streets became one. In an interview, Allen confirmed this, saying, "You name it, I did everything under the sun. I never was a thief. I was more trying to hustle. Not scam, hustle, move drugs. That's the reality of my situation." Unfortunately, this association with crime followed him into the NBA. In 2005, Allen came under fire in a Chicago shooting case that started out as a fight outside a White Palace Grill restaurant, and because of this fight, prosecutors indicted him for aggravated battery. Investigators confirmed that Allen was seen on tape striking another individual in the face as he came in and spotted shooting victim Mark Twain Johnson. They exchanged words and a pistol was pulled. Although a jury found him not guilty in 2007, reports say that other people involved were New Breed's gang members Nigel Odom and Mark Twain Johnson, which shows just how close he was to that world at the time. Unsurprisingly, the topic followed Allen into the NBA during the 2008-09 playoffs in Chicago, when he received death threats in his hometown and needed extra security. Later, when he joined the Memphis Grizzlies, general manager Chris Wallace asked him an interesting question before signing.
Is it going to be a problem to play with Zach Randolph since you guys are 2 different disciples? I said,
as it turns out, Zach Randolph was affiliated with the Gangster Disciples, who had it out for Tony Allen because of the fight in Chicago with his rookie year and a run-in with the GDs when he was just 14. Because of that, the Grizzlies weren't sure the two could work together. While Tony Allen neither confirmed nor denied his gang ties, Paul Pierce seemed to do both. Pierce played college basketball for the Kansas Jayhawks before being drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1998, and it was here that he spent 15 years of his career. However, his career wasn't always smooth sailing. In the 2008 playoffs, the former small forward flashed a hand gesture at Al Horford, and speculation about his gang ties surged. An associate professor in UCLA's Department of Social Welfare admitted that his hand sign against the Hawks was a classic Pyro blood sign. As a result, the NBA fined him $25,000 for making a menacing gesture. Of course, Pierce denied any gang intent, saying, "I 100% do not in any way promote gang violence or anything close to it. I am sorry if it was misinterpreted that way at Saturday's game. Growing up in Inglewood, where Bloods and Crips were active, made him an easy target for rumors. On top of that, being stabbed 11 times at Boston's Buzz in 2000 also fueled speculations over the years. And even though Pierce had given a detailed explanation of what happened that day, fans still aren't buying it and think he's lying about what truly led to the violent attack. Much like Paul Pierce, former Bulls guard Derrick Rose's alleged gang ties trace back to a single moment. After 1 year playing point guard for the Memphis Tigers, the Chicago Bulls drafted him as their #1 pick in 2008. A year later in 2009, he won the Rookie of the Year award. But just 2 months later, his win was tainted when a photo of him flashing what looked like a Gangster Disciple sign at a Memphis party surfaced. Soon after, he issued a statement saying, "Recently a photo has been circulating on the internet which appears to depict me flashing a gang sign. This photo of me was taken at a party I attended in Memphis while I was in school there, and was meant as a joke, a bad one I now admit. I want to emphatically state, now and forever, that Derrick Rose is anti-gang, anti-drug, and anti-violence. I am not, nor have I ever been, affiliated with any gang, and I can't speak loudly enough against gang violence and the things that gangs represent." Despite his denials, growing up in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, which many see as Gangster Disciple's stronghold, made the photo blow up even more. A few years later in 2012, speculations about Rose's gang ties ignited again after reports that he had paid for slain rapper Lil Jojo's funeral were released. These rumors would later be addressed by Lil Jojo's brother, GD rapper Swag Dinero, in a 2023 interview.
Did Derrick Rose pay for the funeral?
Yeah,
That's true.
it's true.
Aha.
Very solid dude.
Responsibility.
D-Rose real, man. You know, he's an NBA player, professional, so I can't really. D-Rose real, man. Shout out to D-Rose, bro.
This shout out to Rose and Dinero's hesitance to go into further detail about their association only fed the rumors. And further into the interview, he also seemingly confirmed that Lil Jojo's shooting was indeed tied to the ongoing Gangster Disciples versus Black Disciples conflict. The speculations didn't stop there, because a year after Lil Jojo's funeral, Rose offered to cover the 6-month-old shooting victim, Jonala Watkins' funeral, which some read as a show of loyalty to his neighborhood. Following this, more rumors spread about a hat that Rose was seen wearing, which some claimed was GD related. However, fans soon pointed out that it was his personal D-Rose logo, with a 6-point star from the Chicago city flag. Since then, mainstream outlets have portrayed him as someone whose ties reflect his upbringing around gangs, not active involvement. While Derrick Rose tried to distance himself from any ties, James Harden tried hard to establish his. Nicknamed the Beard, Harden is often mentioned among the greatest shooting guards in NBA history. In the 90s, long before he made it to the NBA, he was raised in Compton by his mom, Manja Willis, in a time when the city was fighting through gang violence and drive-bys. To keep him out of trouble, Harden's mom encouraged him to focus on basketball, and his dedication paid off when the Oklahoma City Thunder drafted him in 2009 to start his NBA career. But just 3 years after being drafted in 2012, a single clip would spark talk about his alleged gang ties. During a playoff game against the Spurs, cameras caught him making hand signs that some viewers read as blood signals. Around the same time, he gained more attention for tweeting at Lil Wayne, "We got seats for you 5, which some people took as blood slang, largely because Wayne's so public about his ties. After that, rappers Slim Thug and Lil Duval accused him of falsely claiming and not being about that life. They even ripped into him for not acting like a G when he got elbowed by Ron Artist, saying he wasn't in a gang when Artist was on the court. Harden's friendships with other Bloods-affiliated rappers like YG also kept the rumors alive. In Phoenix in 2014, Harden literally hopped on stage with YG during Who Do You Love?, which is about as public a cosign as it gets. Then in 2016, cameras spotted Harden and YG chatting courtside at a Lakers-Rockets game, another clear sign of their friendship. By 2024, the rumors were pushed back into the headlines when Harden was pictured wearing a Free Thug shirt and a YSL chain, seemingly in support of Young Thug, who was incarcerated after Georgia officials accused him of being a founding member of the criminal gang Young Slime Life, or YSL. This evidence all points to gang ties, but nothing has been confirmed. While James Harden's ties appear superficial, Nikola Pekovic's are deeply rooted. Coming out of Montenegro, he started his career in Europe before being drafted as a center for the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2008. He spent 7 seasons with the Timberwolves, but chronic ankle injuries slowed him down, and the team waived him in 2017. In Belgrade that same year, police searched an Audi registered to him and said they found cocaine and 2 guns. They arrested the passengers, and local reports tied those men to Darko and Dusko Saric, 2 of the most famous drug traffickers in the Balkans. During the investigation, Pekovic was called to testify and speak with the police officers, and at no time did he deny being a friend of Dusko Saric, going as far as to say that he was the godfather of his son. And it didn't end there, because a year later, he also undertook to repay the debt of 1.15 million euros tied to Saric. Following this, rumors of his gang affiliation were ignited again in April 2025, when police in Montenegro linked him to the Saric brothers network after they seized an armored BMW X5 registered in his name during a raid. The police found illegal firearms, military-grade gear, marijuana, and opiate pills during the operation. Despite the seizures and mounting evidence, it isn't clear whether he will face any charges. Unlike the allegations around Nikola Pekovic, DeMar DeRozan's connection to gang culture comes from survival and loss in Compton, not membership. Prior to being drafted by the Toronto Raptors in 2009 and becoming one of the best scorers and mid-range shooters in NBA history, he had a pretty tough upbringing in Compton. Because he grew up in pocket hood Compton Crips territory, the culture was all around him. In an ESPN interview in 2018, he explained, "It's the first thing you feel accepted by. It's all I knew. I look back on it now and it makes no sense, but growing up it made perfect sense." When he was 5, a rival gang member took his Uncle Kevin's life, and this was his first close look at the violence around him. In his high school years, the pressure to conform to gang culture only got worse. He discussed this in another interview, saying, "It's been times I played at certain schools and the whole row be gang members, and they get together and like, you make the next shot, you ain't making it out of here." Despite this, there's no evidence DeRozan ever joined a gang. Instead, he credits his parents, especially his father, for keeping him focused on basketball. So when people speculate about his ties, it usually traces back to his Compton roots, rather than proof of membership. While DeMar DeRozan's gang ties weakened as he got older, Stephen Jackson's ties have only gotten stronger. He's been connected to the Bloods since he was 9, and certainly hasn't tried to hide it. Before he played his first game in the NBA with the New Jersey Nets in 2001, Jackson grew up in Port Arthur, a neighborhood he described as a hellhole. In an interview with ESPN in 2005, he confirmed it, saying, "I was just raised like that, all my friends. I don't trip on nobody with no blue rag, but at the same time, it's what I represent. It's what I've represented since I was 9 years old. It was just inherited. I ain't banging though." He further went on to say, "I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't take that route. Everybody's selling drugs and everybody's hanging out. On top of that, losing his brother at 15 to gang violence and watching his father go to prison for robbery and drug crimes made gang culture feel normal to him." Further proof of his gang ties was that he often wore a red bandana off the court as a shout out to his blood-haunted hood, and even went as far as keeping one hanging in his locker. In 2022, after rapper PNB Rock was killed, Jackson made a controversial comment about a gang practice that sparked major backlash. Many saw it as a glorifying of gang culture, calling his actions ridiculous, while others thought he was simply respecting his people. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like these, and don't forget to subscribe.